Orange County, LA County, like inventory is significantly moving up. But I think what a lot of people don't understand is it's normalizing.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, oh, the crash is here. It's like, no, that's just normalizing.
Yeah, I mean, if days on market are just basically a normal balanced market, and we're just accustomed to homes flying off the shelf in 1 to 2 weeks, and did we ever get to single digits in days on market? It got really low for a while.
Pretty close.
It was
We were in the teens
for sure. You know,
and that's
so
savagely unhealthy, as Logan would put it. Logan Shami. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, people that don't study the markets and aren't in it every day.
That's not normal.
Yeah, that's just what the recency bias is of like, oh yeah, well you should list a home and it sells in a few weeks.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I remember pre-COVID when agents would, you know, be like, what do you think I could do to sell this house? It's like, yeah, you have to try.
Yeah.
Like,
well, now this question of are agents necessary?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they become more necessary, right? Mm-hmm. Welcome back to the Mortgage Lounge, everybody. I'm your host, Jason Thibodeau, and this is my co-host, Mike Grambow. I've missed you, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing well. Guess I've been doing mortgage.
Yes, you have.
And moving, but
yeah.
You
mean offices?
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed. Yeah, I actually really like the background compared as I've been looking at, like every once in a while Vivian will post an old reel from the old studio and that blue, I'm like not liking it now when I see it compared to what this is.
Yeah, and the lighting in the back is a nice little touch.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, we're going to start with the hot button issue that everyone seems to like. Are we in a housing bubble? And the silly part is there's no easy answer to that because real estate's local and the answer ranges wildly depending on where you live in the country.
Right.
It's not, this isn't 2008 where everyone's affected.
Right.
This is more just a regional phenomenon.
Right. And just in general, to me, a bubble is when you have an artificially inflated price in something, right? So
in that case, to be fair, we're there everywhere. After what COVID and the trillions of dollars and
inflation has done that. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, like a recent, I think, example is what happened in the car market where prices just went crazy in 2021 because there was a supply chain issue, right? And as soon as supply chain was fixed and COVID was quote unquote over, it normalized, right? And prices went back down.
Yeah, because again, supply and demand.
Right.
I think ultimately, yes, too much money in the system is inflation, but also the supply chain issue was probably just as bad, if not more of the reason.
Right. We kind of have a supply chain.
It was a double-edged sword. Or I'm sorry, it was a perfect storm. Too much money plus no supply.
Yeah. And in housing, there isn't necessarily, well, there's supply chain, but there's still a supply issue, but it's not something that's going to get fixed overnight.
Right.
So I don't think that there was a single event that caused prices to go up, but as we've talked about, it was natural demand in a case where you had people that just wanted to buy homes because the numbers aligned, right?
Well, 2% interest rates help with that.
It did.
Because that's the artificial part of this. It pulled demand forward was probably what it did, which is why we're dealing with low transaction volume these last few years. And this is the part where people get frustrated with the Federal Reserve because they're like manipulating free market stuff. Did we need 2% interest rates?
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah,
they overstimulated. I heard a podcast about the 08-09 recession, and they said that they didn't get enough money to people fast enough.
Right.
So if they were in that position again, they weren't going to make the same mistake.
Okay. So they're trying to make up for lost time.
Yeah.
But here we are.
So they didn't make the same mistake.
They made another mistake.
Yeah, they went too far. So, hopefully in our lifetime, we don't have to go through this again, but
because human beings are so good at learning from past mistakes.
Yes.
We never repeat the mistake.
Maybe the pendulum can go to the middle. Yeah.
And to be fair, we did fix the shitty mortgage problem, right? With
08-09
with qualified mortgage and Dodd-Frank.
We definitely fixed that.
Yeah, we did fix that. So, but it's just like a game of whack-a-mole. You solve one problem, two more reappear.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I just think that even though inventory is going up and demand is relatively the same this year compared to the previous 2 years,
Yeah.
right? That we haven't seen a massive softening in price just because it was a natural way, or it was natural in the sense that demand went up, so prices went up. Like I always think about with 08, 09, you had an inverse curve. You had growing supply and growing price. Like that's not how that curve's supposed to work.
Right.
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 So 2021, we didn't have that. We had increased demand and increased prices. And we've come back off of that, but in most of the country, we just haven't built enough. So even though there's more supply, there just still isn't enough.
Yeah, but again, people are going to be listening to this and saying, well, what about Florida and what about Austin, various parts of Texas, and now it's starting to creep into the West and the South. Regionally, I think it's the Northeast that's still seeing a lot of aggressive price appreciation and low inventory issues. But even here locally in Huntington Beach, Orange County, LA County, like inventory is significantly moving up. But I think what a lot of people don't understand is it's normalizing. People are like, oh, the crash is here. It's like, no, it's just normalizing.
Yeah, I mean, if days on market are just basically a normal balanced market, and we're just accustomed to homes flying off the shelf in 1 to 2 weeks, and did we ever get to single digits in days on market? It got really low for a while.
Pretty close.
It was
we were in the teens
for sure.
So savagely unhealthy, as Logan would put it. Logan Shami.
Yeah, but people that don't study the markets and aren't in it every day.
That's not normal.
Yeah, that's just what the recency bias is of like, oh yeah, well you should list a home and it sells in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I remember pre-COVID when agents would, be like, what do you think I could do to sell this house? It's like, yeah, you have to try.
Yeah.
Like,
well, now this question of are agents necessary? Well, now they become more necessary, right? Yes, I understand the point of low inventory. If a house is flying off the market, what do you really need an agent for? Now, I still believe you want good representation, but an agent can really show their value in a market that's balanced, right? Because it matters figuring out what price you start out at.
Yeah.
Staging, their network and how they're marketing it, their negotiating abilities and experience in that marketplace. So it does matter, especially more now.
We've had a change in both loan officers and agents with us, I think, because in 2021, there was really just one loan product to sell. It's like,
30-year fix.
You get a 30-year fix. So like, oh, you get a 15-year fix.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was it.
Who wanted a 15-year fix when you can get a 2.5% 30-year fix? I never understood that.
You get a 2.125 15-year fix.
This is bragging rights at that point,
Yeah. So an interesting point to bring up is that when you have a mortgage and it has a term, all that's doing is it's calculating a minimum payment.
Yeah.
And when people talk about refinances, they say, oh, you're restarting the clock if you put it back over 30 years. Well, that's only if you only make the minimum payments, right? You can absolutely make additional payments each month. Came up in a meeting recently where you could technically do a 27-year mortgage if you wanted to. There's just not really benefit to it.
It's if you're really whoever's listening to this, don't take this the wrong way, but if you're really incapable of spending 5 minutes in your servicing logins and setting that up on a recurring basis, like if you can't do that, then yes, I understand. Okay, 27-year mortgage, right? But that's so silly. Like I have principal reduction on my mortgage. I don't think about it. It just you set it up once and you're done.
So it came up because it's a nuanced case, but there was leased land, and in order to have the term be short enough, it needed to be like 26 or 27.
Yeah, that's an obscure situation.
Yeah. But otherwise, I think, the lesson from it is if the interest rate is the same, then you should probably just do the longest term because that'll give you the most safety net.
Or even if it's slightly higher, it's insurance premium, like you're saying. Yeah, because, shit happens and you never know.
Right.
And unless you're like uber rich with FU money,
right?
Why gamble with fixing yourself to a higher than what might be necessary payment?
Yeah. A lot of times a 25-year mortgage is the same interest rate as a 30-year. Sometimes you get an eighth better, right?
Well, here's the mortgage nerd question. Okay, say you save what 3/8 or half 50 basis points on 30-year to 15-year.
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
half. We'll say 0.5%.
Yeah. Okay, hear me out on this. The interest deduction is much larger, right, with the higher rate and the front-loaded interest. So how much of a difference is it really, right? I don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting balance. I think that it depends on where you are in your life and also your financial life, because
I think if you're a baby boomer generation, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Right. You're independently wealthy. You've got plenty of liquidity. You could technically pay off the home if you wanted to, but you don't want to.
Right.
But if you're 20 something or 30 something year old buying your first home, that seems silly.
Yeah. If you're in a stage where you're building assets, so you want to leverage to do that. But then you get to a point where you don't need to build anymore and you start paying things off. Because even if you are writing off, if you have an interest deduction and you're saving money on your taxes, you're still paying some interest. So I can see in those cases where it makes sense. And some people, it's a good old Dave Ramsey. They just want to eliminate debt. And
Ramsey.
Not that.
But his advice can get people in trouble, though, because it's like, okay, my first time home buyer, Dave Ramsey says get a 15-year mortgage. I think I can squeeze into it. And then you're eating top ramen for the next 10 years.
Yeah, because it's meant for middle America where you buy a house for $200,000.
But can't you anymore?
We did one.
Yeah,
I did an Ohio deal recently where the purchase price was like $250 or so.
Yeah, in the sticks somewhere. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't in Orange County.
Yeah.
So if that's your definition of
there's nice homes in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
So like it's just, I'm sure, I don't know Ohio well enough, but I'm sure it's not the nicest area in the world.
Right. But it's like we have the all-in-one program that is designed to do the exact opposite of that, where it is designed to pay off the mortgage as fast as humanly possible. Yeah.
It just boils down to personal financial philosophy.
Yeah.
Some things, right.
I don't think in most cases you go wrong with paying off debt. Like that's typically
it's not a terrible idea.
Yeah.
We are a debtor society though. What else?
We're going to talk. So speaking on
SALT tax,
mortgage interest, and the big beautiful bill and some of the updates there. So they kept the mortgage interest deduction at $750,000 for married couples. What they also added back that had been previously removed was mortgage insurance can now be deducted as well.
Up to $100,000.
Yes, if you have the income limit is $100,000 for adjusted
I'm surprised
gross.
they didn't increase that income limit.
Yeah, because once again, it's a national law, right? And for most of the country, that's going to help first-time buyers.
Yeah,
just not in Orange County or LA County.
Right. It's going to be irrelevant here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, the SALT tax is the thing I'm most excited about.
California. So, so Californians get that benefit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, there's a lot of people here, so, it'll help a lot of people, but $10,000 is a pretty low limit. I was really hurt by that, and my property tax bill is $16,000 a year, let alone its state income tax. So the SALT being at $40,000 from $10,000, the cap is going to be nice.
Yeah, I mean, $10,000, like you said, a lot of people didn't even have anything extra from the property tax because they were already covering it with their personal income.
Yes, exactly.
Now, I did have a CPA tell me that there was still a benefit with that, but it was nuanced. But either way, now at $40,000, most people are going to be able to write off both.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And 100% bonus deduction, 100% bonus depreciation.
Yeah, apparently that can be applied in real estate as a real estate professional. Matt was telling me about this. I don't understand it fully, but a realtor potentially or an investor buying, an investment property can front load some of the depreciation.
So you have depreciation when you have an investment property, right? And unless you are a real estate professional, quote unquote, you cannot have it pass through to your personal income. So let's say, you have your rental income and your deductions, which includes your depreciation. If that comes out to be a negative number, it just rolls over to the next year.
Yeah.
Unless you're a real estate professional. And this is, once again, where it'd be good to have a CPA on the show because I've heard mixed things. Some people say that you and I are real estate professionals.
Yeah, we need to get Gabe
real estate. Yeah, realtors, that kind of thing. I've heard other people say that a quote unquote real estate professional is really a real estate investor.
Yeah,
you're buying more than one property a year, and then that's where you can get the the depreciation actually matters because it carries over into all of
if you're an active investor, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know Grant Cardone talks about this all the time. Like, buy a house, get the depreciation on it, and then the next year buy another house and take depreciation on it. And
yeah, for sure. The Fed meets July 30th.
Have you looked up the odds?
No, but everything that I'm hearing is Jerome is going to continue to anger Trump, and we're going to have to deal with another "we're not lowering interest rates" meeting.
Yeah, the market odds are 97% that it's going to stay the same.
Really?
Yeah, I looked it up yesterday.
Okay, so it's going to stay the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think some of those media people have the inside bat line to the Fed, and that's by design.
Yeah.
So if it was going to happen, it would have been leaked by now.
Yeah.
As in like an interest rate cut. But it seems like September's a shoo-in for another cut.
Yeah. I don't think the website goes that far out, but it feels like we're due, even though
it's been a year. They started the cutting cycle in September of last year. So now we're at the 1 year mark from when they started last year.
Yeah. Which we've had some softening in the job market, but nothing crazy, right? Inflation has really...
I understand both sides of the coin, right? Yeah. From a job market standpoint, unemployment rate, you take the stuff with a grain of salt, though, because people aren't firing much yet, but they're also not hiring much, is what I'm hearing. Like if you lose your job, it's hard to get a job, which is why continuing claims continue to elevate.
Well, Microsoft, what do they lay off? 90,000 people?
Yeah. Well, imagine what AI is going to continue to do to these people on the leading edge of technology who know how to harness it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's some irony there.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, learn to code, everyone.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
There were like there was like a code for kids retail operations starting to pop up everywhere, and that was right before AI really took off, and it's no longer a thing, I don't think.
There'll still be coding jobs, but it'll be in tandem with AI.
Yes,
right?
Maybe somebody at the helm, but the grunt work's done by AI.
Right.
Yeah.
You still need me to code these Excel sheets for our office, though.
That's for sure. I don't know. You might be replaceable, Mike.
Yeah, you could replace that for me, job, sure.
In the end, I was the smart one, waiting.
Yeah.
I'm not an Excel guy. I know how to somewhat use Excel, but I'm not the guy doing formulas behind the scenes to make things work and look pretty. But I guess what I was trying to say is the BLS reports, hovering around $100,000 to $150,000 or jobs a month, between the birth death model and self-employed and all the seasonal adjustments. It's just like, do we really believe that it's as strong as it is? Because I think the Fed's hanging their hat on that being still somewhat strong, and I don't think Main Street's buying it.
Yeah.
So I personally think we're overdue for just some normalization on federal funds rate. I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of suffering for the lower and middle class income brackets, and small businesses with floating rates on their SBA loans or whatever else. And there's a lot of pain in the markets and the bifurcated economy. Yeah, sure. If you're Apple or Google or NVIDIA, then you're happy and you're okay. But how is that representative of the general population? It's not.
Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong. As a loan guy, I'd love to see the Fed rate go down.
Yeah.
Because as we've said many times.
Well, we're in restrictive territory is my point.
Yeah. Mortgage rates aren't Fed rate, but you can look at the graphs. They
eventually follow each other.
They follow each other, not perfectly, but they do follow each other. Yeah. So I would be all for it. It would help us in this room.
Well, the problem is we're going to have more tariff issues, more volatility, uncertainty, the spending from the big, beautiful bill. Like at the end of the day, the worry is that rates aren't coming down on the long end just because of everything that's going on.
Yeah, there's concerns that the bill is going to increase the deficit. And as much as people want to be impatient with Powell and cutting rates, people have been calling for rates to cut for like 2 or 3 years now. And if you look at, I think, overall what's happened, I mean, he's accomplished the mission of not tanking the economy, but also bringing down inflation. And whether he said it or someone else said it, usually when they cut, it's like a 6 to 9 month lag on really seeing the effect.
What's a quarter point going to do anyways?
Yeah. So
let alone 6 to 9 months later.
How do you steer this gigantic boat?
Yeah.
Right. So I just know there's been a lot of people that have been impatient, and you look at it right now and you're like, I don't know. It looks like they're doing what they were supposed to do. The mistake, as we were saying, the pendulum swinging, was that they didn't act fast enough the first time, right? They thought inflation was transitory. They should have raised rates. They didn't. So now we don't want to get caught on the opposite end, not lowering fast enough.
Which it feels like that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, that's what people want to think.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, again, we're just asking for some normalization.
Yeah.
To get out of restricted territory, not necessarily in stimulative territory, but in neutral territory.
Yeah.
Like take the Fed funds to 3%. That's more or less, that's what most experts think is neutral. And then that would put, our 10-year probably at, let's call it 3.75, and mortgage spreads normalized by another quarter point, and we're at, 5 3/4 for a 30-year fixed, right? Balance in the market. That's not an extremely low interest rate. It's this historically somewhat average interest rate, and, just be supportive of the housing market a little bit. No one's asking for artificial stimulus.
Yeah.
Just normal.
It's been interesting, something I read about the tariffs, because the initial reaction was tariffs are going to increase prices, so it's going to affect the inflation numbers. And we asked Logan Motoshami if that was the case, and his response was, historically, tariffs do not affect CPI. And then in this last report for CPI, I heard a comment saying, oh, tariffs haven't affected this as much as people thought. And I was like, oh, Logan got one right there.
Well, I think the idea is, the counterintuitive thought about tariffs is it's deflationary, not inflationary. And the reason for that is it affects demand. You know what I mean? Business owners aren't dumb.
Right.
They're savvy. So if they just say carte blanche, oh, we're just, passing all the cost over to the consumer. Sorry, but that's called penny wise, pound foolish. You might increase your prices and your margin on a per unit basis, but what you will do is lower your overall volume.
Yeah.
And that's deflationary at the end of the day. So I think that that's the point that most economists on the other side of the spectrum are trying to point out. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Increase prices, reduce demand. That's how it works.
Yeah. It reminds me of my distribution days, because you'd get an increase from the supplier, and then you'd look at margins and go, there may be opportunity to get more margin back on this product, because we have to deliver a price increase anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, some of that definitely does exist, where it's like you have double price increase to the consumer.
Because it's an excuse to raise prices, you mean?
Yeah. You have a reason to point to, say, this is why prices are going up.
And at what point, with an already suffering consumer, does that start to impact demand?
Right. Yeah.
I guess we'll never know until we actually get some time behind our belt on this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't have the money to spend, then you don't buy the product.
It just doesn't I don't feel like we're in a robust demand economy. I know consumerism is part of the main engine of our economy, but things are starting to slowly but surely taper from a consumer strength standpoint. So I don't know that they want to play with that fire.
Yeah. I'm reading Tony Robbins' book, his finance book, whatever it's called. But Tony Robbins has his
that book.
5 or 6 things that
his big advice is buy a low cost index fund.
Yeah.
Just saved you a 600-page read.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't do mutual funds. Self-manage is S&P 500 low cost index fund.
Reduce fees. More or less. Make more money. Yeah. But so just in general, he has his 5 or 6 things that are basic human needs kind of thing. And the top one is certainty, right? And I think that's what we're seeing in real estate so much, is that there's just so much uncertainty with political unrest, social unrest, and
interest rates. And
I was going to say, for once, we've had some stability with interest rates.
Yeah. But with the hope that they're coming down any minute now,
Yeah, if you call that uncertainty, but we've been within an eighth on at least the Freddie Mac number going back to basically late January. So, that's the most stabilization we've seen for a while. And if you take the band a little bit more, you go back to even October, where rates have been pretty steady since around that time frame. So, since I would have thought that more stabilization would have increased demand, but that's not what the charts are saying. So I think all the other uncertainty around jobs and social stuff is maybe what's causing people to still pump the brakes on buying.
Yeah. Well, and if the 7% more or less interest rate continues for another year or two, we're just going to see continued softening in prices. You know, the longer this sticks around, the more we will see an actual decrease in prices. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean a bubble's bursting, but, you know, inventory is going to continue to go up. And we're still nowhere near 2 million homes, you know, on a national basis, which is normal or balanced, 2 to 2.5 million. But eventually we'll get there.
Well, and you talk softening, but homes are still appreciating. It's kind of like the inflation thing, right? Slowing inflation down doesn't mean that it's deflationary.
Prices are still going up, just not as aggressively.
Right. And softening real estate doesn't mean prices are going down.
Right.
Yeah, they're just slower appreciation, which is good, right? That's what we needed to get back to.
Yes, with the preface that some prices are coming down in some markets. We do understand. Okay, don't freak out.
Yes, certain things. Yeah, like locally, Long Beach condos are an issue.
Yeah. It's very niche and nuanced. Just depends.
Yeah. So kind of going back to what I was saying about having to have some skills. So realtors need to price them right. They need to talk to their sellers about, you don't want to chase the market. You want to get ahead of the market. Right. And get people in the door and get this thing sold. Because if you don't, and then you have price decreases, and then the market drops more, and it's just this never-ending game.
Yeah, I'm sure all sellers now will fall in line with that strategy.
Totally. Yeah.
No emotional BS will be a part of the equation anymore.
No, never. Yeah. We'll just do what the person says to do that they're paying to get advice from. But yes, that's what'll happen.
But Uncle Bob said.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yes, the human experience. So predictable. All right, well, it was kind of fun. We got to do our first, I think this was our first episode, right? Yeah, it feels good. Like the next iteration is going to be getting this capable of shooting live too.
Oh,
yeah, that's what we're working. That's what we were working on today.
IG live kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Yeah,
and then for us promoting the space, it's kind of a technical need that a lot of people will want. So yeah,
cool.
And realtors.
Yes,
realtors. This could all be yours. All right. That's it, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to us. And until next time, like and subscribe, please.